Hey, what is going on with y'all, man? It is Black Balloon, and I'm coming back with another video, so y'all already know what's going on. Alright, y'all. Now, y'all know we couldn't let just one video go by talking about Allie Carter and showing some of her clips where she exposes a lot of things that, people aren't talking about. Today, we're going to go over another clip from a live that she did where she really goes in on things that are very important to hear and dissect and start to pay more attention to, right? Now, when I was listening to this live, some of y'all may have heard this live, I'm not sure, but when I actually did the video, a lot of you were aware of her story. Like I said, I was new to her. I don't know how she escaped me for so long, but with all the research that I do, I'm very surprised I never came across her. But I'm glad I did, right? So this video, like I said in the last one, isn't necessarily about Diddy. This is just about the stuff that she's been exposing and talking about. And also, she's going to go into some stuff about trafficking where I want to bring back a clip from Orlando Brown. Now, that clip we're going to show and talk about, y'all have seen before, but man, is it more important than ever for us to hear and break down that clip again. Like, we really have to pay attention and listen to what both of them are saying. They literally are saying the exact same thing. And when I went back and played the clip again from Orlando Brown, I just almost couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe it. Orlando Brown says the same things that she has said, that they both have been saying, So in this video, we're going to use that video to go down this rabbit hole. It's very deep. And this is one of those topics that, like, man, I feel real strong about. And more videos have to be made like this, but we kind of got to stick to the guidelines. I can't say the word or words that I want to say to describe what I'm talking about. And y'all will notice, especially in the Orlando Brown clip, those certain words are bleeped out for YouTube guidelines that involve the little ones. So y'all already know what I'm talking about as far as trafficking goes, right? So I'm not going to keep this intro too long, y'all. We're going to go ahead and jump into the first clip with Allie Carter. I'll come back. We're going to talk about it, and then we're going to check out a little bit more from Orlando Brown. All right, y'all? Check this out.
Garden area and employees led us to underground tunnels. We had to take an elevator and stairs. We had to be led. There is no way that you can just walk into a tunnel. The entrances and the exits are in your face, but there's no way that you can just walk through tunnels. You'll get stuck. You'll go deeper and deeper, and you won't be able to come back out because it's hard, because the tunnels run all different directions for miles and miles and miles and miles. So if you go down the wrong one, you'll get stuck, and it's confusing to turn back around and get back to where you're going. So you have to be led in and out. I think people assume that when you get underground, it's just this dirt and you keep going deeper and there's more dirt and then there's cages of children. No, that's not how it works. There's cities underground. There's warehouses underground. There's actual homes underground. People build these tunnels, and they've built them for decades. There's a lot, and elite celebrities, they go down there for parties.
Because Riverside County, do you hear me? Riverside County Child Protective Services was involved in my trafficking. I never thought that we would see the day where Diddy would get arrested, and I told you guys in that Maria Z interview in 2021 that no one tells on Diddy. P. Diddy. All right? Just the same way nobody tells on Denzel Washington. People don't usually talk and stop and think about the children victims that are going through things right now as we speak, and the ones who suffered through all this bullshit. I decided to stop for a second and do some projects with projects all around because we just said, you know what? This is our life. It's not changing. We stopped somewhere and I've been hiding. My mom and I have been hiding. We've had our head down. We've tried to back up. We've tried to tell you everything that we can. And now we have people messaging us, investigators, people that want to talk now, when now it's because it's trending. We're still not on the subject of the kids. All the adults are covering their asses. All the adults are, I left at a certain time, yet you knew children were there. You knew these parties were not okay. They weren't freak-offs. They were satanic ritual orgies. It wasn't just adults in these parties. The adults were responsible for the child sex slaves that were in the party. And one of those children were me. Now, those who are trying to come at us now, talking like, oh, well, now the Diddy's out, now that you can talk. For why? Because we tried to have a case with Child Protective Services. We gave them 8 months worth of evidence. 8 months worth of evidence. That didn't even do a crumb. They took that case and they hid it. If you are a survivor and if you are a real victim, be careful. Because these hotline numbers that they're putting out, I don't trust them. I wouldn't do it.
They take your information to see what you have.
They're taking inventory.
And then they shut it down. Mm-hmm. They're taking inventory.
That's blood money.
That's blood money.
That's all blood money. You do know that, right? Whether you take money from him to shut up, whether you take money from him for period, that's blood money. I don't want anybody's money. Not even Lassane. And let me make something very clear. Even though it runs in my family, you can't fake your death. That shit is expensive. We don't have that money. We don't have the military involvement. We are not working with white hats. We are working with everyday people who can come out and do something when they can. Who can come out and say, I can be security when I can. Who can come and cover us when they can. But that's not all the time. Right now, we by ourselves. We can call on some angels. Yes. These are everyday people. They're not white hats. Get it straight. There's no witness protection program because how well is the Secret Service doing protecting your former president? They're not even doing their damn job. Even the photographer can get the shot. And including the people that can get the shot. Let's be real. Don't do the Lassane bullshit. Don't do that either. You want to know why? Because that all circles back to the military. That all circles back to fake arrest. That all circles back to lies. And not everybody can fake their death. Even though some of y'all are sitting pretty trying to make the excuse of, oh, well, they were so evil. I was just trying to be undercover. No, bullshit. My face is out there. You little punk. My face is out there. You pussy.
No, and I see a lot of you people out there like, oh, they faked their death and they're going to come back.
No.
That's
no.
bullshit.
No.
Joan Rivers, you were up there partying with Michelle Manshell. Lassane, you were doing some dirty, vile shit. All of you. So any of these people that they're going to try to revive and prop up, bullshit.
No.
Bullshit.
You see all the people running? They're ducking and hiding because everybody knows that there was children there. But we're still not talking about the kids yet. When are we going to talk about the kids? Everybody's demanding something from the victims. Why aren't you demanding it from the news? You know he's about to turn into another Epstein, and then the list follows, and it circles back into a web. So why isn't anybody demanding any information on the kids? Huh?
Where'd that supply chain come from?
Do you think that thousands of bottles worth of baby oil was for thousands of who? $65,000 worth of hot dogs and pizza was for who? Trafficking over the border was for who? Child Protective Services is your supplier. Is anybody going to talk about that? The immigrants that are coming across the border, that all those kids that they were just scooping up out of boats and out of the water, they're now coming in and they're throwing them right into the system. Aurora, Colorado, Springfield, Ohio. Where do you think all those kids are going? This ain't about an election anymore. Y'all know that, right? The election is canceled. Because everybody that you love, you don't live in the world you think you do. Everybody that you think is not guilty is about to show you who they really are. I've been screaming for years.
Now, real quick, hearing her talk about trafficking and underground tunnels, it's nothing new. You know, if y'all been looking at this stuff for years on years, you've heard plenty theories about underground tunnels, underground facilities, underground warehouses, that Denver airport where it's supposed to be stuff underground. There's been a lot of theories. I don't know if we've ever seen just real proof of an underground facility outside of movies. We're given hints. Even in They Cloned Tyrone, if y'all remember, that little facility was underground. So this is not something, you know, it's not something to play with, and it's definitely not something to doubt, because I think it's very true. And also, y'all remember in that Jordan Peele movie, I think it was called Us, where basically every lookalike of, you know, every person that was on Earth was in underground facilities with all those bunnies running around. So we've gotten plenty examples of it, and I'm just naming like 2 or 3. Of course, there's been probably hundreds of examples from Hollywood. Even going back to Disney, I think we talked about it in that video I did on Shia LaBeouf, and when we were doing those videos, you know, there was a theory about underground tunnels being, you know, under the Disney park, so on and so on, where they use it to basically traffic in and out. So for me, I wouldn't take that lightly. I definitely believe what she's saying, because it's been around so long. But what I really want to get into is, you know, and kind of compare her and Orlando Brown, and especially the clip where y'all saw this clip before, is where Orlando Brown was talking about panda eyes, and he was talking about the little ones that go missing that are on Walmart commercials, Target commercials. This is really important to go back, listen to, and dissect, right? I really want to get into that because they are basically saying the same thing. You know how Allie was saying that some of the tunnels lead to hospitals. She was talking about Child Protective Services, and she was saying that they take inventory on people who call. You know, that a lot of the little ones end up being trafficked from these services, from these people, because it's easy. You get the people who do this kind of stuff, you put them in positions to where it like disguises it, but, you know, it's easier for them to traffic, especially the little ones. It goes back to the Hillary Clinton thing, where I think that lady who was named Laura Silsby, she was rumored to be like one of the heads of Amber Alert. And this was after she was caught trying to smuggle 33 kids, hence the number 33, 33 kids out of Haiti. They were trying to take 33 kids. I'm not completely sure if she ever worked for Amber Alert, but it was like, you know, when that whole thing was going on, that was the rumor. So these people do have jobs. They are put in places where it's easier for them to traffic people, especially the little ones, and it makes so much sense. But like she said, people aren't bringing this up. People aren't talking about it. Y'all heard she said, you know, she was like, the baby oil wasn't just for, you know, adults. She said this was for the little ones. $75,000 worth of pizza and hot dogs. That one I didn't even hear, but if that's true, that definitely doesn't sound like, you know, most adults don't eat hot dogs and pizza in group gatherings. You know, I'm not saying that's not the case, but we all know that's like, you know, finger food. That's mostly for the little ones. You know what I'm saying? And I thought that was insane. He brought up a bunch of different people, Denzel, Oprah, a bunch of different celebrities, you know, that are basically saying they are aware that those parties weren't freak-offs. They were ritual abuse type of parties at a certain time. You know, what I want to say, I can't really say. Is why I keep saying little ones, y'all. So, you know, y'all know what I'm trying to say with that. And it also kind of reminds me of that clip where Denzel Washington, I think he was the one that said, you know, you got to leave the party before the devil comes.
He told me we'd be at the parties. He said, you leave 30 minutes for the devil get there. Okay. And when he would say that, I will always remember that Denzel would leave the parties early and I follow Denzel out. I'm out. You see what I'm saying? Because when you leave 30 minutes for the devil get there, there's nothing wrong with going to the parties. Even Christ party with the sinners. You know what I mean? But when you leave 30 minutes for the devil get there, you know, you able to have your integrity. I meant off screen. It's not what you do on screen. What you do off screen is more important.
It gives us a clear picture of what actually is going on. And we already know Oprah has been rumored around trafficking for a long time, especially way back with that school that she started. So before I continue going on and on and on, right? Let's get into this Orlando Brown clip, y'all, because oh my God, he laid it out. I don't even think when we played this clip the first time, this might have been like a year ago when I did the reaction to this clip and the panda eye thing, because y'all remember we were talking about it with NBA Youngboy, because remember NBA Youngboy had those pictures, I'll put it up on the screen, where you had the panda eyes and all that, right? But don't mind the panda eye thing too much. Listen to the back end of what Orlando Brown has to say about the little ones, y'all. Oh man, look, check this out.
That stuff. Okay, so bullshit.
And everybody was kind of calling them like Satan worshipers, and that they were trying to like everybody was kind of saying that they were kind of Satan worshipers, and that they were condoning exploitation with dressed like this. And
the thing about it is like the thing like this, bro, is like this, man. Like, so you ever heard of Panda? Like I was telling you, Panda. So you got Panda Panda is a secret code for a certain thing. And so when it comes down to that certain thing, it's so what it is you basically have a certain nerve in your rectum, and if you touch that nerve, you can turn a person into an animal. You can turn a person into whatever you want them to be if you just hold them down. So pretty much when you see black eyes like Blueface and shit like that, he got beat up, but he didn't get beat up where you thought he got beat up. He got beat up somewhere else. Okay, and so the eyes come out, and they call them panda eyes, and they do this to. So you see people with these cigars, and they're all these big celebrities. They all have the cigar in common. That's that big ass thing between their legs that they're sticking in, and it's one big society of it. Now, when it comes down to the selling of the, they're shipping and trafficking. And people, adults, the moms, the dads, right there on Target commercials, right there on Walmart commercials. And you're looking at the people that are missing, and they're smiling like they're happy, but they're going back to hell. And that's really what it is. These are actually adults. Jeffrey Epstein created this saga, and this is what he is great at doing. He's great at kidnapping someone, turning them into a, putting them in a dead celebrity's body and screwing the life out of them after he makes a ton of money off of their ass on his private little beach. So you have a private little beach full of celebrities and bodies getting screwed, and nobody cares because they're supposed to be dead. And this has been a major market that he tried to blame on Oprah Winfrey. So, that's what I feel about that. And this panda eye thing is, the panda, all that stuff is so real. You want to go get fucked by Shaba until your eyes pop out, go ahead. I mean, that's up to you. But, I just think that, people just need to realize what they're looking at when they're watching the television. Everything is right in front of you. The revolution was televised, and don't nobody give a shit. So it's very hard to, feel for a person that has no feelings for anyone's, when it comes down to the Grinch, that's how I look at him. It's like, it's a real story. We really have a man out there that wanted to steal Christmas. And how do you steal Christmas? You steal the, because if you steal the, you have no more joy. And how do you steal the at birth? How do you do that? You turn into a doctor, you turn into a nurse, you turn into the powers that be that'll protect the person. So it's really intricate with this man, and at the end of the day, I pray that he gets what he deserves.
Now in that clip, y'all, he said it plain as day, right? Now we can start with the very, very end of that clip where he talked about the Grinch who stole Christmas. He said, how do you steal Christmas? You steal the little ones. When you steal the little ones, you steal the joy. And that is exactly the truth, y'all. All of the bleeps in his interview was when he said the little ones. Y'all know we can't say that and then involve the trafficking stuff, or it will immediately get shut down on YouTube, right? It's just very sensitive. You either have to bleep it or find your way around it. So that's why I had to talk like this. But that was a very good example. And that goes back to what Ali Carter was talking about. Remember, he said, turn into a doctor. You turn into the professions and the people who are supposed to protect the little ones. And that is how they succeed in doing what they do and doing it in the amount that they do it every year. Notice Ali Carter talked about CPS, Child Protective Services. Keyword, protection, protector, child protecting services, right? And when I heard, started listening to Ali Carter talk about it, that's what instantly made me think of that clip. Because they said the same exact thing. Orlando Brown just, the way he pits stuff and exposes things, it's just kind of like, it's a little bit different. But he couldn't have worded it any better if people were actually listening. They're turning into these people so they can traffic the little ones. And it's sick as hell. People who you would think, they're going to these, child protective services. They're going to, foster homes. You just couldn't imagine how many of those little ones end up in these kind of situations at a very young age. And of course, he was talking about Epstein being like the leader of it. This is what he was very good at. This is what he got paid, turning dead celebrities into the little ones' bodies. You know how he'll get to wording stuff, talking about cigars and that thing between their legs, and they're doing what they do to these little ones. This is what he was really explaining. And I think that clip, people more were focusing on the panda eyes and bringing up pictures, which of course it all ties to it. But I don't know if people really listen to that entire clip. And then maybe the biggest thing that he said out of all of it is that the little ones, the moms, the dads, the adults are actually being put through that system, being trafficked on Walmart commercials, Target commercials, other places where it's right in front of your face, but you don't even realize it. And it automatically makes me think about Walmart when they used to always post those posters of missing kids in the stores. Remember that? I don't think they really do it now. But there was a point where every Walmart damn near in the world, it was a poster or two of a bunch of missing kids. That almost makes me think that it was like right in our faces. Now, I don't even believe those kids were, I believe those were the ones that were trafficked. And they were like putting it right in our face. But think about that. Some of these people that are in videos, and that was like what Ali Carter was saying. They're being forced in these videos. They're not in those videos willingly. These people are trafficked. People playing these roles in these commercials and, things that we just have no idea about. They are being trafficked, acting like they're happy, and like Orlando Brown said, going right back to hell. Y'all, this topic is huge, and I wish this was a platform where I could just talk the way that I wanted to, but that lets you know how sensitive this stuff actually is. Because they don't want this information getting out there, because it's quite possibly the biggest underground ring in the world. Makes you think of the Super Bowl when you get all these stories of, human trafficking bust and all this kind of stuff around the Super Bowl because it brings so many people, y'all. So much of this stuff goes on right under our noses. That is crazy. And, you know, that's why I was saying I really wish, like, we could just go in on this stuff and not be censored on YouTube. But at the end of the day, I guess other places allow this kind of content. And I think I may just have to make a video, like, for Patreon where I can just really talk about this and go in and have things that aren't bleeped, and I can just say what I want to say, because this is one of those topics that, you know, it doesn't get discussed much. People, like, you know, talk about it, then brush it right off, and then we move on to the next subject that's trending, you know, when this is definitely one that needs to be pushed more. Because still, I listened to that clip like, I don't know, I listened to that clip like 40 times just because I couldn't believe it was like really lining up to what she talked about, and it was something that we've never heard about, you know, adults, the little ones, you know, parents, families being trafficked through these corporations and being put right in front of our faces, being sold. And they have a system of how they sell them, y'all. For the people that know about it, they know about it. They know how to contact them, know what to do. We don't know about it. That's why, you know, to us, we're looking at a commercial. It makes so much sense when he said that. Just like Ali Carter said, we don't live in a world that we think we live in. And things just as simple as a commercial is a way for them to traffic and sell. Can y'all believe that? You never know what you're looking at. You never know what you're looking at. And that is insane to think about. That your mind is played with on every level. Literally fucked. Mind fucking you. Literally. And you just don't even know it. You're just sitting there all happy watching stuff and, you know, participating in things that there are really evil people behind this stuff. So yeah, y'all, I think that'll do it for this video right now. Like I said, I probably will put a video out on Patreon that would be like uncensored. And maybe I could do a part 2, just talking about this stuff and dig up some, you know, some other clips. And, you know, because we definitely can keep going on about this subject, right? So y'all let me know what y'all think about this video, man. With that being said, y'all, it's Black Balloon. And I'm going to see y'all soon. I'm out.